We are now live. We are now live. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. And I'm sure that many of you are joining us from across the continents, yeah, at various time frames. My pastor, good afternoon to
Yes.
you.
Hey, Fakulati Kujan.
Kuhle man, kunjani kodwa?
Hey, we are blessed, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you so
yes,
much. Thank
yes.
you. Well,
Ah, my God.
siyabulela kakhulu. We are a bit late. It's a Sunday, but otherwise, no, we are here.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I know that this interferes with your lunch and everything of the nature. Apologies in advance.
Yes. No, but we thank God we are here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you
Uh,
so much.
okay. We still
Are we live already?
yes, we just gone live now. We just gone
Yeah,
live now.
Oh,
Can you okay, can you
okay,
see each other?
Melanie,
Can you hear
you
each other?
good?
Linda, how
Hey,
are you?
wow. I'm good, man. And how are you?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I can see that our viewers this program today. I was just telling Utando that many people are quite keen uh, on it, and it seems as if it's an important subject matter to discuss for many people, and I'm glad people are already joining, and I want to thank them for that. I'll also check on Facebook here. If you've just joined us, please just indicate that you're there by just maybe just saying something on Facebook, on YouTube. We want to know that you are there. I can see Nakutotyelwa Libumbe Pikoli Sbusiso G Kuzwayo is here. And I know there are some people that I failed to read or whose messages I failed to read because on my cell phone I cannot always see. And if I do that to your message, please forgive me. It's not intentional. We want to ensure that we engage with all our viewers and especially those that take the time to make a comment. And so for that, if it so happens, please accept my apologies. We are ready to start. I know that Usioyo, Pastor Bue, is staying a bit far, and then he had indicated previously that he might join us on the way because it's a busy day. Sunday is a busy day to you pastors. You are preaching, you have to rush home, and we also call upon you to come and deal with matters of such national importance. And I really don't take that lightly. I'd like to appreciate and thank you so much. I can see Nagulast Mudondo has joined us as well. Welcome. Those of you who are joining either on YouTube, on Facebook, just drop us a wave or drop us something to show that you are there. We appreciate that you are there. And without wasting or any further wastage of time, let me welcome you all again. Those that are joining us now live, I know that Sunday is a busy time. Here in Joburg, it's raining, and I'm hoping that people in Joburg are warming themselves and they are sitting comfortably to watch this program. I know those of you in Cape Town may be tempted to go to the beach. Even if you go there, you can carry your cell phone with you and watch this live. We don't want you to miss this. But for those of you who cannot do any other option but to do other things, you can always come back to these recordings later. It's my pleasure to have my esteemed panel today. We've got Dr. Sipho Zondi, who is a man of God a man, I think, who loves ministry. And I can say the same thing with Pastor Melane and Pastor Boe, who loves families. They love families. And I thought, who else could do a great job on this discussion if not them? And so Pastor Sipho Zondi, he's a senior pastor at Langa Baptist Church in Cape Town. He's also an academic, businessman, just a man of God. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kulati. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you to the listeners. And let me also greet my fellow panelist, Pastor Tando, a friend of mine. Thanks so much. It's always an honor to be part of such panels.
Great, thank you. He asked me to take off my jacket because he says it's so hot in Cape Town with my jacket. All right. Talking about Pastor Tando, he is also a great man of God, a great friend. He's a senior pastor at Destined for Greatness Ministries, which is also based in Cape Town. He is a businessman, a mentor, a consultant. He's so many things to so many people. And welcome to you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, Petido. We are grateful to have this Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
To spend it with you meaningfully. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It used to be called afternoon spend.
No, great, man. People who are interested in politics are busy with political rallies, and people are interested with soccer busy, but we are interested in building the family on this program. We're interested in building the nation, building our leadership, our capacity to do the right things. And so, okay. I see that
Bue is asking that you invite him.
Sorry?
Bue is asking that you invite him.
I see that on Facebook here, but I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I'm not that great. Did you send? Did you? If you can just click on that link that I sent my pastor, I will be able to invite you. There is a link there to this program, StreamYard. It's called StreamYard. I see him. He's here on Facebook, and if there's anyone who knows how to do that, okay, let me invite him on Messenger. Okay. We're learning every day, people. We're learning every day. So I will do that. My pastor, I do it now. I just did it now on Messenger, on your Facebook Messenger. So if you do receive it, just let me know. And I see here that we have Umaxolwe Maku, young man, a relative of mine, unyana sister wamlo, and Bebe. Good to see you, Sisi. Uthi invite olwethu Antoni Luyanda Mandazaya babize beze oprudi mekuto. They must all come. Okay. And Loyiso Sizwe Mosi, good to see you, my brother. Good to see you, sir. I'm hoping that everybody has come together with their spouse or with their better halves or whatever you want to call. But Pastor Bua, just keep me updated in terms of what you, if you are still struggling, just let me know. But then let's start, gentlemen. You are all married, and and let me just say this from the outset, that as far as I know, this I speak for myself, and I'm sure for many, for all of you, there is not a single marriage that is perfect. That I can say with a high level of certainty. unless then I'm dealing with the pastors, then maybe theirs are more perfect than mine. And I know that I myself not perfect. If my wife were to be given a survey to measure the level of my imperfections, there will be more imperfections than perfections. And so those of us who are here today, all of us are on this journey. And so we have a topic today, a very powerful topic: feeding a starving marriage. Feeding a starving marriage. Gentlemen, tell us, how did you meet your spouses? And just give us a short snippet. And how long have you been in this business? Let's start with you, Tando.
There you go. Who's that?
Yeah. Well, I met my wife at varsity. It was not love at first sight. It was love over a long period of observation.
Okay.
What I loved about her is that I always got attracted to women who show a huge level of independence. She showed quite a significant level of independence, and also she was quite different in terms of disagreeing and questioning me.
Yes.
At times, I think I got more than I bargained for.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah. And
Okay.
well, she fitted the bill also. She fell in that category of women. I think I got more than I lighter in complexion.
Yes.
Who look like my family.
Okay.
So yeah, and yeah. That's how we met. Yeah.
Well,
and you've been in this now for how long?
22 years.
22 years. Congratulations. That's a long time.
Of happily married.
Wow. That's beautiful. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Okay. Did we just lose Dr. Zondi there just at the time?
Away.
I hope he's not running away from telling us. Okay, Pastor Bue is saying StreamYard is just hanging. If there's anyone out there on these streets, just please let me know so that I know what I can do so that I can try and get him back online. I'm very, very challenged when it comes to this. One of my Facebook friends even sent me a message to say, please send a reminder, put something on Facebook that will remind everybody. Even though I did something of that nature, I'm not sure if it's to the extent that he had asked, but basically we are trying to do as much as we can to make sure that this is happening. All right, Doctor, if you can hear me, Dr. Zondi, please try and come back, and then we can take it from there. All right, Pastor Tando, let's talk to you about the state of marriage in South Africa today. What is the state of marriage in South Africa today? And secondly, why is marriage important to society? Is it not an outdated sort of relic from the past? I can see Pastor Zondi is back online. There you go. Sorry, sorry. So hey, now we pin the Puma again. I think there are gremlins that are trying to mess us up. as they say, the devil is a liar. The people are gonna be blessed today. Now let's carry on, Tandos. According to Stats SA, marriage are becoming less common in South Africa. Maybe can you expand a bit more about your view or your understanding of the state of marriage, and why is it important?
I think I was trying to think about this. Think of it. There is no nationality, no society which does not have marriage, which gives us a clue that there's something peculiar about marriage. That marriage has been, there's no society that says there's no longer something called marriage. Marriage has been there, it's still here, it will be here even in the time to come.
Yeah.
But we can't deny the fact that that marriage has got challenges. I don't know the stats, and there might be a lot of people who are divorcing or not getting married. And then for me, having counseled lots of people in marriage, both pre and post, and I think there are fundamental things that we overlook. Pre-marriage, a lot of people get into marriage assuming that they know about marriage. And when they are in the marriage, they discover that actually we don't know. That love by itself does not build marriage in the main.
Yes.
So you need to know as to what are you getting yourself in? Have you prepared yourself? What I find is that people do not sufficiently prepare themselves to marriage. People get shocked when I say to them, I don't do a wedding until we have spent at least 6 months together and trash out the issues. They get shocked into that effect. So we take marriage and we get into it in a very light form, whilst it is a heavy thing by itself. Even when we are in marriage, we are not deliberate in growing and in understanding each other and knowing where we are going with what we are doing. So I find that if any divorce that happens, one person, or if not both of them, have given up in working in their marriage. There's nowhere where you are working on your marriage where your marriage would not grow and develop. If both parties are willing, then their marriage would necessarily grow, their love will grow. So it's both. The reason why we have this kind of a scenario now is because people are not well prepared pre and do not grow during the marriage.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that great introduction there. Doc, sorry, man, about the gremlins that are bothering us there.
Yes.
Are you fine?
I'm fine. It keeps kicking me out. I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's my laptop, so I've just asked the kids. I want to swap it. It keeps kicking me out. I'm using, it's an Apple thing, so I'm asking my daughter to give me hers, and maybe it's going to be better. So,
all right.
Okay.
Maybe let's start before it kicks us out again. Tell us a bit about you and how you met your wife, and then answer the question about your understanding of the state of marriage in South Africa, or even the world, and its role in society.
My brother, of course, I met my wife. My wife used to work at SARS. She used to work at SARS, and I met her there at SARS. We met at SARS, and yeah, she was a consultant there, and fellowshipping and worshiping in another church. But I got first to meet her there, and then followed her up, and
Were you also working there, or were you coming to do
no,
something?
I was a businessman. I went there for my business things. I went there for business things. But what attracted me to her is that she had a Bible. She had a Bible. She had a Bible open next to her. You know, and yeah, there she is reading the Bible, and I said, "Wow, my goodness, this beautiful young woman with the Bible straightforward," and that attracted me. And that I think that brought. We started talking about the Bible that she had. And sharing the weight and so on and so on. We ended. She finished serving me, and then we spent more time talking about the weight and so on, and that's how I got to know her. And the rest is history. Let me answer your question before I am kicked out here.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just bring Pastor Bue just to welcome you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about all the gremlins. As soon as Dr. Zondi finishes, we'll come back to you, and then you can introduce yourself, and as well as, in fact, I've introduced you already. Then you can respond to the questions.
Yeah, my brother, thank you so much, man. You know okay, let me start with this thing. You know, the state of marriage in our country and the world over, it's not a good state. It's not a good state in a number of ways. I mean, you look at the statistics, look at the research that is coming out now. You read the research. You just have to go to the courts. Look at the courts. Look at how many marriages every day that are breaking in courts, and look at the go to maintenance court and look at how many couples are forcing each other to maintain their children through courts. And every pastor I know always has a list of couples that he needs to see, and our time is taken mainly by couples that you need to see. The state of marriage is really not good. Not good. I think what makes it worse is even the house of faith. We are hit hard as well. Not just even the house of faith, even pastors. We sons of God. I mean, our marriages are strained, and some are falling. So the state of marriage in our country, particularly, let me just zoom into our country. It's not a good state. I mean, the rate of divorce is high. The rate of unhappiness in marriages is very high. The rate of people moving out is high. The rate of abuse is high. The rate of those who are in marriage but unhappy is very high. So that tensions in marriages are high. So yeah, the state of marriage, my brother, to answer your question directly, is high. The question perhaps we should be asked why. Of course, there is not one reason. There are many reasons. A couple of reasons. There are a couple of reasons that you can talk about. Many. I think if we can talk about the reasons, it can take us the whole day. There are many reasons. There are many reasons why we are in that state.
Yeah, but I think what we're gonna do. Sorry, Doc. What I think we're gonna do, because I want us to spend the bulk of our time in this conversation to assume that the problems are there, and not analyze them, but to spend more time on what we can do to really feed our starving marriage. But I think I like where both of you have started in terms of just sketching the lay of the land. Thank you so much for that. Let me just bring Pastor Bue. Esioyo, welcome, sir. And again, sorry about all of the gremlins that took place. And can you answer those two questions, sir? How did you meet your wife, and when? How? What situations were? You can just tell us a brief about that, and how long have you been together? And then the big questions of the now is the state of marriage in South Africa, and why is it important?
Gajeni and my fellow panelists, good afternoon. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are.
Wow, we met in 1996.
Okay.
At a church in New Crossroads that was pastored by Umfundisi Faleni, still is. I was conducting a choir, and I'm very finicky. I used to be very finicky as a conductor about people walking in, you know, and bebethi slangu while I'm conducting a choir, and we're preparing for a conference.
Yes.
And then this one time, I'm hearing these footsteps behind me, and I'm facing the choir. But when I turned around, I'm not sure if I spoke in tongues or, you know, but I uttered something under my breath. She was wearing a red leather skirt,
Okay.
a charcoal jersey at the time, which was called mohair.
Wow.
She had a custom perm and cut. She was a size 28. She looked like the stuff that dreams are made of.
Wow.
She looked like the stuff that dreams are made of.
Wow.
And the practice session was just dragging too long. I couldn't wait to get to know her. And I won't lie here and play spiritual. The physical attributes wanted me to get as close as possible and to get to know her. And from 1996 to now, an unbroken record, which has been fueled by God's grace. You know, if there's anything I can say about our union, it has been fueled by God's grace.
Yes.
Yeah, so from 1996 up until now, there's never been a single day where we have taken a break, where we even uttered the word, I want a divorce. You know, we are still going strong.
Yes, sir. That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, so that's how we met.
Fine. Thank you so much for that. It's always nice to hear how people met. And, you know, and it seems as if pretty much most of you met around the same years. The same applies to me, you know. That's when I made my moves around that time. Okay, Fundis, Makasive, from you, what in your view is the state of marriage? Do you agree with what has been said? And why is marriage such an important institution at the for people?
For me, it will be an injustice, Kajeni, to go directly to marriage.
Yes, sir.
Because marriage does not exist in a vacuum. The foundation of marriage for me is institutions.
Okay.
It could be a family institution, it could be a societal or cultural institution. There has been a degradation of institutions, which are the founding blocks or the building blocks of those who are to marry. I'll give you a typical example. Look at the amount of children who are born out of wedlock. I recently went to where I was born, Leguguletu, NY50, and 90% of the households, if not 99% of the households, Kushieke, our sisters and our brothers who are just having children, there is no family structure. And the absence of that structure, the absence of that institution is what will breed or build people who are fit for marriage. So for me, what builds strong marriages is a boy who has watched his father loving his mother, is a girl who has watched marriage in their socialization.
Yes, sir.
So there has been a degradation of structures and platforms where people, where husbands and wives are built and molded. So you cannot have a state of marriage in a vacuum, in a silo, when those building blocks, which are family, societal institutions, you look on media, you know, everything that is being sold is some reality of individualism. You know, so immediately marriages are doomed to fail when there are no institutions that are actually the building blocks for marriages to thrive.
Wow, wow, what an interesting angle, you know, that we've been hearing from all three of you here, and I really appreciate the different kinds of angles that you've come on here. Now, clearly, there are institutional problems, there are divorces, there are all sorts of separation, children born out of wedlock, and all of that. And how does a starving marriage look like? What are the experiences? I mean, you've been in this business for a long time. What are the experiences that are experienced by people in marriages that are starving? I just imagine, and I know that you've just come from church, maybe you have not had lunch yet. You know, when you are starving, you know, it can be so uncomfortable. Can we just paint a picture, Pastor Thando, of how a starving marriage look like? And I'd like us to break it into a couple of, like from an emotional point of view, physical, sexual, all right, in terms of time, in terms of just mental connection. You can take whatever other angle you want to take, but can you just respond to that?
I think the the overarching principle in being starved is being unfulfilled. You are in this relationship, but
Yes.
you are unfulfilled in it. That might be that might manifest in being starved sexually, in being starved in terms of appreciation, starved financially, starved all forms of being starved. And I think if we are going to deal with the topic sufficiently, we must deal with how does a fulfilled marriage look like. Okay, they say at the bank, when they teach tellers between a fake money and the real money, they teach them about the real money. They don't put the fake money. They teach them about the real money, its features. And so by the time they encounter the fake, they know exactly, because it does not constitute this, therefore it is a fake.
Thank you so much for that. We've got Pastor Zondi again. Sorry, Mkharazman, about what's happening. I just want to acknowledge the people that have joined that I can see here. And I need to say this all over again. Those of you whose name I don't read is because on the device that I'm reading, I can't see further, even the comments. I see Lerato Kamata. Oh, Maske, good to see you. Mandla, Machiane, good to see you. Nagukajeni, Lungile Mbulga, which is corner. Maureen Williams Toninchi, good to see you, Sis Maureen. Nagu Anna Zondo, Teddy. Anna, good to see you. I hope you got the video I sent you. Teddy, Tiba Kubevu, Damsha, good to see you. John Flemmer, so good to see you, my elder. Anele King Mbomvu, lots of people here. Tammy Soldat, this is Tammy, good to see Sbate Komfo. Beautisla Chakotela, so many people, good to see you, everyone. And please, whenever you feel like you want to ask a question, feel free to do that. Invite other people to join and so on. So now, Dr. Zondi, let's get to you.
Yeah,
I think Pastor Thando has actually said to let's focus on the positive, on the not on the counterfeit. And I think that's true, and we're going to spend a lot of our time doing that. But the question that I asked when you were not here is, how does both of you can answer this question Pastor Bue and Dr. Zondi. How does a starved marriage look like? And we're not going to spend a lot of time there. We're going to shift towards what we must do to feed, and how does a fed marriage look like? Who wants to go?
Let's allow a person who's more academically sound to speak.
No.
Thanks. All right, thank you, sir. For us to speak about starvation, starvation cannot exist without having not understanding ukuthi intoni inhlutha, being full. A starving marriage is devoid of truth. When truth is no longer served on the table of that marriage, that marriage begins to starve. When I constantly have to be asked, where are you going? Where are you? When are you coming back? I've discovered that what has broken many marriages has not been the amount of money, the comfort that has been there, but it has been the absence of the connection, or when the connection begins to be severed. And one of the major things that has been a causal factor for marriages to starve has been when there's a disconnect at an emotional level. Many couples I've met, whenever they speak about starvation, it is not so much sex, it is not so much money, it is the emotional unavailability. When you no longer can be vulnerable to your partner and share the most intimate of things, in your spirit. When that connection is not there, marriage becomes a place where both of you function. The marriage is functioning, but the emotional part is severed. So we are no longer connected, but we are in one space. It is this marriage is no longer giving life to me as an individual.
Yes, sir.
Instead, it is devouring life out of me.
Sure.
That is what a starving marriage is. It can no longer provide emotionally for my children. It can no longer provide direction. It can no longer provide stability. I'm there, I'm paying the bills, I'm there. I'm making sure the bond is paid and food is on the table. But there is an emotional disconnect where we are going through the motions. So you find everything is here, all meals are being served.
Yeah.
But the deeper connection, that substance that actually makes it worth it. I was traveling recently, for other things related to my other life. And as I was sleeping in that hotel, I could not fall asleep. And I knew that the reason for me not falling asleep is because I was not in my own bed.
Yeah.
I was not in the presence of my wife. And the atmosphere was not the same. Now, when a marriage is starved, that is exactly what happens. You are incomplete in a place of completion.
Sure. Wow.
Where you are supposed to be in your element. This is when you see a person cheating, it did not start with the interest in an illicit relationship.
Yeah.
It started with a disconnect here. It started with a disconnect. when you see an affair, that is a manifestation. That is a manifestation of a certain hunger that exists. So that is just my 2 cents.
It's actually not a 2 cents worth at all. It's very, very powerful stuff from all of you. Dr. Zond?
Well, for me, it's very. I think because the two gentlemen have answered it, but for me, is to go back to the scriptures, because what you find today is exactly the problem God has with man. God's problem with man is only one. Man is struggling with his priorities. A starving marriage is a marriage when priorities are upside down. God says, Moses says in Psalms 9, he says, teach us to number our days that you may get wisdom. In other words, teach us to be able to prioritize. When marriage, those in marriage, when they cannot have priorities, when their priorities are upside down. That's why Jesus says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added. In other words, have your priorities right. Important things have become less important.
Okay.
That, for me, that's how a stable marriage looks like. Priorities are upside down.
Gentlemen, I think you've used great metaphors here and great images to describe the problem. For example, Pastor Tando was talking about the lack of fulfillment. There's something unfulfilled in the person. Sioyo talked about lack of truth, lack of connection, and they're now using the issue of upside down priorities. All of these things are manifestations or paint a picture of a starving marriage. Now, there's someone who's listening here who's saying, man, I feel unfulfilled. I feel there's lack of truth and faithfulness in my marriage. I feel my marriage is starving. There's no connection. What can they do to feed their marriage? Where do they start? What are the things that they can practically do to feed their marriage in whatever area of starvation it finds itself? Anyone can go ahead.
I think let me also take this opportunity to acknowledge Umbulelo Brambu Bigwan. He's also watching. I think as an expert in this facet, he's watching with interest.
Yes.
I think first we must.
I need to get him on this platform.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to him.
Yes. I think first we need if the marriage is starving, we need to identify what is the cause of the starve, so that we scratch where it's itching. And why is it starving? Let me make pastors are renowned of making examples about other people, not about themselves. Let me make an example. We've been married for 22 years, and at some point, we were praying this particular morning with my wife, and I noticed that my wife was not praying. And then after some time, I say to her, "But why not praying?" And she said, "Because I don't know what to say. And also it's because you don't listen." Okay. So then the Tando in me says, after so these many years, how did you survive with someone like me who's not listening? And she still said, you're still not listening. And the whole issue was that she felt starved communication-wise. It's that I was one not listening to her. I had answers for whatever she said. And she just wanted me to listen. And number two, I spoke down on her. And she then was not feeling that she could share anything on me or with me, because she knew, one, I have an answer, and number two, I'm going to belittle whatever she's thinking and feeling. That was very important to her. And so, by God's grace, again, if it was left for a longer time, it would have festered. And therefore, she would have viewed anything in our relationship as someone who does, as me, as someone who does not care. And so, because I'm not married to Tando Melane, I'm married to Mamiki, that's how she feels. That's how she perceives issues. And I cannot correct her without changing my behavior. So I had to change my behavior and say to her, one, I'm sorry. Number two, I didn't see it. Okay. Number three, this is how I want to listen now. Help me if you want me to talk, to tell me that I should talk, and help me when you see that I'm speaking down on you, that you indicate you're now speaking down on me. Now that was some years back, okay, and it resurfaced recently, in which in that point it helped, because that's the second thing you need to have: people that you are accountable to. So who are the people that your wife or your husband can pick up a phone and say, I don't know, or Nomonde can say, I don't know what Pat is doing. Can you speak with Pat? Okay. Or can we, both of us, speak with you? And that happened. We spoke to people that were accountable to. And now I'm in the process again of working out that particular thing. And these people that I'm accountable to are now looking at us and looking at me in particular, if this behavior is changing. So you find that let's identify the problem. Let's be deliberate about dealing with the problem. It's not gonna run away. The change of behavior is not gonna dissipate in any way unless we begin to deal with it, and unless we learn to be accountable and be deliberate.
Wow. And I'm just thinking about that situation. I'm going to get to you now, pastors. She could have continued praying whilst in her heart she was feeling closed down and shut out. She could have just carried on. I think someone was using the word of carrying on with the emotions, going to church together, holding hands and doing all those things, but the person is dying inside and they do not have. So God created that perception to be and that experience so that you can identify the problem. Now I see here that Usandile Makukwa now again, I'm watching from Kwamasele. Wow, I remember Rolali Leyo. Beauty Slacha Kotela uthi ndiphanze ndaphoso. Please ungaphoso next time. Now Mem Papu from Kenya, Nairobi, Nomthandazo Papu says greetings to our beloved pastors. Nakulerato Kamata saying profound, very profound, Muruti. I see Ulizo Mgongo. Yeah, Tembi Kosumatika. Good to see you, everyone. Gentlemen, let's carry on. What do we do? Pastor Tando has actually used his illustration and example about a situation that happened, but how they used that situation over a long period of time to keep working and feeding that area of marriage. Carry on. Any one of you can feel free to just jump in.
Again, let me just jump in.
Yeah.
One other thing that I want to bring to the table, that I just want to declare. If God was not with me and my wife, I would long have been a statistic. It is very, very hard and beyond me as a human being to father, to be a husband, to be a spiritual head of a family, and to be what I am required by my wife, my marriage, and my children, if God does not build this house. And I can declare that equivocally and without any fear of favor. If anybody wants to build a marriage, this is beyond an individual. This is beyond a man and a woman. Marriage is of God. And marriage is from God. And as long as I want to be Uvuyani Bua, the pastor and the husband, on my own, my wife will sit with I have the same weakness as Pastor Thando Milan. My wife was telling me this morning that I do not listen. The amount of time I spend on social media doing motivational videos and recording content is taking away from family time. We are working, there is academics, there is children, there is the church, there is everything. Another problem that we will have in marriages, if one is not prepared. Uprambu once said, the strength of your marriage depends on the sacrifices you are willing to do for it.
Wow.
So a marriage is a union of two people who are compromisers. You compromise because you realize your insufficiencies and your disabilities as a person. So if you do not compromise, you will never grow to be the husband of your wife's dream. If you do not compromise, you will never graduate to be the wife of your husband's dreams. Marriage is not a destination that you reach it and everything falls in its place. It is a constant improvement, constant learning. We fall, we rise, we learn. It is anyone who thinks you get married and everything is in its place, then that marriage is on the verge of failing.
Sure. Hopeful there. You are muted.
Thank you so much. Well, I think they've said a mouthful. And I'm sitting here. I'm learning. I'm eating. Really. They've said a mouthful. Look, the title of today's session is starving. You know, my brother, starvation is the most painful way of dying.
Sure.
Through starvation, it's not an overnight thing. It's slow. So starvation is the most gruesome and the most painful way of dying. Because, starvation has some phases in death. And of course, the last phase is that some organs begin to die. Organs in the body. Those who are, your medical doctors will tell you the 3 phases of death in starvation. And so when marriage dies, through starvation, it's not an overnight thing. It has taken some time. There are some nutrients that are missing. And so in order to correct that, because you see, we need to do exactly what Pastor Marion says. What is a missing link? What is a missing nutrient? What is it that needs to be done? Because if we continue to live in an imbalanced way, marriage is dying. Now, when you see couples in court, they don't wake up and go to court and divorce. It's been a slow process, and there's been painful. By the time they are brave enough to go to court, it's really been going on for quite some time. And so, in order to rectify that, we need to go back to the drawing board and go and find out what is the cause. Of course, what Pastor Bo is saying is very powerful, because we are all in a fallen state, and we need God for us to be able to live together. And all of us, as we are here, if God was not with us, we would not be where we are today. And it's true that compromises are needed along the way. But here's the thing, my brother. I want to say, if the find things like we're talking about now, we find starvation along the way. Number two, which I want to say, in order for marriage to, in order for us to put the energy back into marriage, having identified what the problem is, we need to start working on them. We need to start working on those. We need commitment. Many people get into marriage and they don't have commitment. And somehow, my brother, we think marriage is an overnight thing. Somehow we think marriage, like Pastor Bo was saying, it's a destination. Somehow somebody has not given us the right definition. People have not got the right information about marriage. Masiyeke ukudlala. Sure. Sometimes we must just sitting there go lwethu. Masiyeke ukudlala. People uma beshadile masiyeke ukudlala. I call them imambana. Asiyeke ukuba zimambana emshadweni. Asiyeke ukudlala and umshado ayonda ukudlala. If usafuna ukudlala, hlala usingle. Because umshado ayonda ukudlala. Umshado is a place of holding hands together, building together. Now, is there hope of a marriage that is going through difficult time? Yes, there's hope. There's much hope. What do we need? We need commitment from these couples. We need commitment for both of them. We need couples to be intentional in working their challenges. Here's my suggestion, my brother, and I close and I stop. Sorry, is that one, when problems start, raise your hand. When problems start, raise your hand. Most of the time, we go to get help when it's too late. When problems start, raise your hand. Don't keep quiet and think they're going to be better. They never get better. When they start, raise your hand. That's number one. Number two, surround yourself with matured couples. Every young couple, surround yourself with matured couples. People can speak to your life. If you don't surround yourself with matured couples, you're gonna be in serious challenge. Surround yourself with matured couples. So I want to say to you today, all the couples out there, those who are going through a difficult time, raise your hand. Raise your hand. God is there, but God has also sent people to assist us. Raise your hand. Don't suffer until it's too long. Dying through starvation is the most painful death of them all, because it's low. You can't sleep. You can't sleep. And if you die through starvation, some organs begin to die. Some organs. And in a marriage, then you begin to have different moods. Some people have mood swings. All kinds of things. People suffer depressions. People suffer all kinds of things because they were hoping things are going to be okay. bantwana basekhaya xa kukubi phakamisa isandla ufumana uncedo. Mangithethe namajida ke ngoku thina amajida sithethi
Siyathula.
Jenks, xa kunzima ayilohlazo ukucela ukubona enye indoda sihlale nayo phansi, hey mfowethu kawundincede kuba emshadweni wami. Akulohlazo elo. Xa kunzima, see another man and go and talk to that senior man about your issues. Raise your hand.
Wow. Sure. Gentlemen, I think I see a powerful quote here, a statement by Uyanga Duma. Uti, I'm appreciating the conversation. I do thirst for a female voice. Unyansile, she's correct. He's correct. In fact, we are going to have a second installment of this, but we're going to be looking at it from a female perspective. So be on the lookout for that, because you're right. We're all speaking here from a male perspective, because as Utando and Bue were talking here, I was just thinking about yesterday. I mean, my wife said to me, you always do this. You don't listen to me. You always find an excuse, and I immediately had to keep quiet because she was right. And Uyanga is right, because we are the ones who have a particular way of dealing with these matters. I see here that we have Utembela Mpinza Sithole. Good to see you, Mpinza. Nangu Michael Mamabulu, good to see you. Unomakhosazana Ngonongono is watching. Good to see you. Nangu Mfundisi Mthunzi, Joseph Pani, Sibusiso G, Kuzwayo. Good to see everyone who is joining us. I'm looking at the time here. I do want us to make sure that if there's someone who's out here wanting to say, maybe let's watch this program. This is our last. Our marriage has been going through this starvation for a long time. And maybe they're saying, let's just watch this program. Maybe some gem is going to come out of this. Some nutrient is going to come out of this. So far, we've received quite a number of nutrients. I think one of them is that God must be at the center of this. Also, a willingness to change, compromise, being accountable, commitment, and being able to listen, and so on. Now, there's someone out there who says, you guys are talking about me going to see, let's say, a pastor or a senior person. And I've heard stories where pastors take someone's wife who has come to get help from them. What do you say to such a person? I know it's a topic for another time, but maybe you may want to comment about that. How does a person select a person that they can speak to in such a way that they can feel safe, they can feel that they are not going to be putting themselves in a problem, worse, and so on? And any comments on that?
I think a few things that I want to say. It's if as a couple, you don't have a couple or couples that check on you in terms of, I'm not saying couples who ask you if there are problems.
Yeah.
Couples that you can speak about your livelihood as a couple to couple. I think you're missing something beautiful, because there, when you begin to talk with each other about issues, you learn to listen more. Secondly, is that there are trustworthy people. It might be your uncle, it might be your pastor, it might be your boss, it might be whoever. I find that when you have a vested interest in something, you are quick to notice what is worthy for you. For example, if you want to fix your car, you will be quick to identify a mechanic that is a good mechanic, because you have a vested interest.
For your car, yeah.
Yes. And so the principle is the same, that there are people there are people who have who are good character-wise, and who can deal with issues. Okay, and again, as Zondi said, that let's learn not to deal with issues when there are issues, because most of the time we don't listen there. We want to defend ourselves. Okay, so when something starts, even before that, let's learn to open up, to ask questions, to share our own experiences. I find that as couples, we, for example, is that when we meet as couples, what do we talk about? Besides males going to males and females going to females. So we must make it fashionable to just to check on each other's lives and just listen to other people and learn from other people. In fact, I am a witness that I've grown more in my marriage or in our marriage more than reading books, but just exposing myself into couples gatherings, which are real, which they share real issues. And you find as you interact with people, oh, that one probably has conquered the same thing that I'm struggling with. You gravitate towards that particular person. And that has begun to be helpful in the last 22 years.
Wow, thank you. I mean, I'm going to give the other gentleman now, but I must just give kudos to you, Tandos, as well, that, you know, I mean, you and I speak on the phone and you check up on us. I phone you and check how things are going. But I've learned that from you because you do it well and intentionally. Just check, how are the kids and all of that. It's amazing when you hear something like that, because sometimes, you know, you have to think carefully. Hey, I don't know Bunjan because the son of Moshe recently, or whatever the case may be. Go ahead, gentlemen. Any one of you can tackle that.
You raised an issue, Kajeni, about where do you go? You also alluded to the fact that there are pastors who have taken advantage of the counseling session, you know, to take over the wife and destroy that marriage. I want to go back to into 80. When we solve problems when they arise, then we already have a huge problem. There is this general perception in us as Black people of always shying away from enrichment for the sake of enrichment. I remember I used to work a lot with another institution, marriage institution here in Cape Town. And whenever you would invite people to a marriage enrichment seminar, the first question would be, but we don't have any problems. Why do we need enrichment? No. Everything is going fine. Why do we need enrichment? And enrichment prepares you for life's curveballs. Enrichment places you on the pedestal where you hear other men and women's weaknesses. And through their experience, you get to avoid certain tragedies. And there is this, whenever I meet couples, the first question I always ask, is there any exposure to marital information, marital engagements, marital groups? You know, no, we are just sitting at home and existing. You know, and it is in those engagements where you get to be exposed to your own weaknesses, because both husband and wife have their own weaknesses. So you have a problem when you're going to start looking for somebody to help when you encounter a problem. That alone is a problem on its own. And I'm not trying to avoid your question, but I always say to women, 90% of the time I get called by women for counseling sessions, and I always refuse to see them on their own. If she insists on seeing me alone, then my wife has to be present in that counseling session. One of the dangers is to meet a pastor alone without his wife when he's going to be talking to another woman. It is a danger when your husband has to be told, I already met with a pastor. And the first response is, so now you are coming to recruit me. Because whatever you said in my absence in that counseling session, it puts me on a back foot. It puts me at a disadvantage. So whoever is going to see you, I always get worried when they're going to see you as the pastor alone without his wife present. I never meet a lady without my wife present. And in that meeting, I always ensure that she will just report whatever she wants to report. That first meeting is always to convince her to have another session with her husband present. We give absolutely no advice. She must bring her husband, and she must say exactly what she said to us in the first session when the husband is there. Because there are many people out there with intentions that have absolutely nothing to do with building marriages, but they are abusing the platform for their own personal gains. So you have a problem. You have a huge problem when you are not surrounding yourselves with people who bring life to you. When you are not allowing yourselves to be influenced by other people, when you are not allowing yourselves to be exposed to life-giving organizations out there. If you are a married person, align yourself to marriage institutions. Don't wait until there's a problem, because when you wait until there's a problem, you take emotional decisions. You go and meet, Imambane, as Umfunsu Zondi was saying. You meet Imambanes out there. He takes advantage of the situation, and he actually adds in killing that marriage.
Thank you, Zond.
Hey, Mfundis, I don't know what to say with the last part, really. I think I'll leave it going for the last part, really, about pastors to take advantage, really. I don't know what to say. I just have no comments, really. Any man of God who would sleep with girls, wives, I just have no comment. I really have no comment, to be honest with you. I really have no comment. But here is what I have a comment on. I have a comment on this one in terms of going forward with marriage and picking it up and working on it. Number one of the things that we need to learn as couples in order for marriage to survive or the thrive in the difficult times that we live. Don't get into marriage with the you're gonna be surprised.
Sorry, I lost you when you said don't get into marriage with. If you can start there.
Don't get into marriage with the thinking that there are no problems in marriage. It's very important that you know that. You talk to them, you think that, my goodness, they actually thought that in marriage there are no challenges. There are challenges. You must know that. That's number one. You've got to know that when you get into marriage, there are challenges. Number two, you've got to know that whatever challenge that there are, those challenges can be resolved. They can be resolved. Jesus says something very powerful in Matthew chapter 12, verse 25. He says, every kingdom divided against each other, every cannot stand. Every kingdom divided against each other cannot stand. For as long as you are divided as a couple, you will not stand. So it's very important that whatever challenge you face, don't be divided. Because when you are divided, you cannot stand. Because no kingdom can stand that is divided against each other. Here's another thing I want to say to you. And I want to say this to us, Tinamachida, is that when God gave Adam, he gave Adam dominion over everything, but he never gave him dominion over his wife. He gave him dominion over everything. but he never gave him dominion over his wife. In fact, on the contrary, he made his wife his partner. Learn to cooperate. Partner with your wife. Your wife is not there. You don't have a dominion. You must partner with your wife. Learn to partner. And wives, of course, must learn to partner with us. None was given dominion over the other. In fact, if you read the scripture correctly, you will notice that the Bible encourages us to submit to one another. That's what it says. So let's learn that it's important. And the other thing which I want to say, which is very important, sometimes as couples we get involved in unnecessary battles. Learn to pick up your battles. Really, some battles are really not worth to pick up. Sometimes as couples we really fight over non-entities. Learn to pick up battles. Some battles, some things are resolved with time. I've seen it. Some things are resolved with time. The longer you stay, the more you understand certain things about each other. Some things, not all, some things are resolved with time. So learn to pick up your battles, really. Don't fight over unnecessary things. Find couples really fighting over really, really unnecessary things. That is why you need a senior couple, like Mfundisi was saying. That's why you need mentors who will say to you, I think this matter is let it here. Let it go, because it's gonna be resolved with time. So I want to say that to somebody maybe who's going through some difficulty. Also, even as you fight, learn to resolve your conflict. Marriage, really, there will be conflicts, but learn to resolve your conflict as a couple. Learn to resolve your conflict. Some conflicts stay even longer. They stay even longer. Unnecessarily. Learn to resolve your conflict. And once you have resolved your conflict, put it behind you.
Move forward.
Yes, sometimes you get disappointed. You find couples who have had a conflict of 10 years. Some of over 10 years. They never go forward. Learn to resolve your conflict and put those conflicts behind you. Put those conflicts behind you. Here's the last one I want to say. I can say a lot of things. Here's the last one, which
we're wrapping up now.
Important. Yes, learn to be happy with yourself. I found that sometimes in couples, one member of that one person there in that couple is not just happy with himself or herself. Learn to be content with yourself. Because you give what you have. You give what you have, and if you don't have that, you can't.
Okay.
Couples need
I'll give you now, Mfundisi. I'm just looking at the time. We already passed, so I do want us to wrap up by 5:30 definitely, and I apologize for keeping such a long time. So I just want to acknowledge, and I'll give you now Ulerato Kamata Uti Utembazana Mfundisi Utembazana Ngalwana uthi akho extension nexesha yo ndisafundisa apha. You can always come back, Mfundisi wami, and watch it. We will get again a second session. Ulerato uthi compromising to be a dream partner to your spouse, only God can help us. Mem Papu uthi tsi teke itafile. And I can see Hazel Kwatala is here. I can see Unatu Nako. I can see Umveli Mandela Zingeri. Good to see you. I can see you, Tulani Mkize. Good to see you, my pastor. Gentlemen, I do want us to get closer to the end of this thing. And I know that Pastor Tando, you want to say something, but I just want us to address specific areas around time starvation, and I think we've mentioned that, around issues of physical or sexual attention, things of that nature. How do people who say, everything is great about my partner, but there's this particular problem that I'm experiencing with them? Where can people who are going through those levels of starvation do? What can they do to start? Are there skill sets or models or whatever tools they can use to really begin the conversation? Because sometimes the conversations, we do not know how to start the conversation. Tando, you can start where you wanted to start, and then you can carry on, and then we all comment on these issues as we wrap up towards the end.
I was laughing as Zondi is talking about learn to choose your fight, and as time goes by in your marriage, you learn to put a scale on issues. For example, when we got married, because I come from a background where my mother taught us that you never leave the room without making up your bed. So that was inculcated in me. And also the issue of, when you are in the loo and the toilet roll is finished, you take off that which is remaining and replace it, and not put a toilet roll on top and another new roll on top of that. And so those would be the things that for me would put me really off. But really on a scale of 1 to 10, what is not making up the bed in this marriage? How does that make this marriage to be so detrimental? So you learn to, whether it's made up or it's not made up, really it does not contribute. Or for that matter, I'm the person who's bothered by a bed that is not being made up. So let me make it up because I'm bothered. It's me who's bothered by it. And so you learn over time that is a non-issue. You can't be making it an issue over your relationship, neither measuring your relationship on the basis of whether the bed is made up or it's not made up. And I think those are the things that the wisdom that you learn in the process. But also on the question that you have asked, as both Bo and Zondi has said in numerous ways, that let's learn to be deliberate about our relationships. Let me make an example. Most of the times you find that when there is let's say there's a problem about sex, okay? I was just thinking the other day, just last week, that unless you learn to be deliberate, because the person who experiences, let's say I'm being starved sexually, another person might not see that as starvation, okay? Another person might see it as I'm tired, or we had it last week, or something like that. But the person who's starved feels the pinch. So it is upon me, the person who does not feel the pinch, to be deliberate to satisfy the person who feels the pinch, because I might not be feeling it. And that I'm not feeling it doesn't mean it is right. But it is when I'm being deliberate. Okay, my wife is saying we don't have sex frequently. Let me be deliberate then about having sex frequently, because I should not measure it as, but I'm not feeling it. I should measure it by the person who feels the pinch. And you find that most of the time, if we do that, we're able to find each other. So it goes to other aspects, whether it be time, because you don't feel it. I'm busy at work. But the person who feels the pinch is the person whom you must listen to.
Thank you. Gentlemen, go ahead.
Kajoni, when marriage is starved, be it sexually, be it emotionally, be it otherwise, many a times it is because of us as men. When it comes to marital issues, we need to deal with the elephant in the room. A man can be present and be sleeping in that same bed with his wife and still not even know how his children are doing at school. Yeah, worse. A man will be at home every day with his family every day. He won't even know his son's favorite soccer club, and not even know his children's interests. We as men suffer from, I don't know whether it's emotional something, but we can be there. We can be absent in our presence.
We can be there physically, but absent emotionally.
A man can be there physically and know absolutely nothing about what is happening in his house. All he knows is that the bills are paid. There is the car, the dish is paid, DSTV is paid, and we sometimes become stars of the world and failures in our own homes. So marriages starve, because we are good people, but we've missed one thing: listening to our wives. And the best person who can tell you about what is happening in your own marriage, from her perspective, is your wife. I think God made it deliberate for us to have wives so that they are able to lift us up when we fall. But what we do, we tend to be rescuers, chairing everybody's meetings, running the new converts class at church and solving everybody's problems while our homes are crumbling. And in my experience, our marriages are starving because imali kabhuti ekhaya is expected ukuthi iyokuservisa izinto zasekhaya, and I will be loyal to uba ndingumcwerha mna ekhaya kwenziwe into ethile, and my family will come second. I think Pastor Zondi spoke about priorities. And Ephesians 5 makes it abundantly clear that husbands should love their wives as Christ loved the church. And that is a tall order, which is not something we will reach in an event, in a day, in a year, but it should be something we yearn to pursue. And if we yearn, we have that yearning to pursue that tallest order of Christ, where he says, how I gave my life for the church. If I gave my life for my wife, there will never be starvation in our marriage. There will never be communication starvation, intimacy starvation, attention starvation, because it is my life purpose to seek and to chase after, making sure that I do what Christ did for the church, to the point of laying his life for her.
Wow.
We as men need to rise up and to rise to the occasion and take our God-ordained position of being husbands to our wives and fathers to our children. And 90% of the problems that are caused by starvation in our marriages will be, alleviated when we take our rightful place.
Wow. Thank you. Dr. Zod?
Mfowethu, I don't know what else to say. I think the pastors have said it all. But starvation, let me come and speak about physical starvation. Sometimes physical starvation is caused by sickness. And the secret to marriage is to have no secret at all. One of the things that we need to learn, especially, it's unfortunate that we end up as if talking more about men, but maybe it's because we are men, or maybe it's because we meet a lot of problems, and the report is about men, maybe, and our apologies to men. We speak about what we experience, what we see. Are you still there? But I want to say, I want to say, Mfowethu, if you're not well, if you are sick, please, get help. You know, I've met so many men who are not well, and therefore there is sexual starvation at home, physical starvation at home because of sickness. And if you have that, we have clinics now that can, you know, that can help you in that regard. You know, again, raise your hand and go out and get help, and open up to your wife, talk about it, you know, so that your wife understands. But I also want to echo the words that I've said by pastors here. We need to be intentional about our marriages. We need to be intentional about our marriages. You know, the statistic is just too high. You know, it's just too high. Let us stop meeting as couples and talk about non-entities. When we meet, let's talk about the real things. Let us talk about the real things that are affecting us. Let's grow together. Let's share. Let's help each other. Let's share and help each other, you know, to grow together. Is there hope? Yes, there is hope, but we need to open up. Is there hope for things to change? Yes, things are going to change for the better, but we all need to hold, you know, hands, you know, and work on this thing. You know, just today, not just today after church, one couple, one lady waited to see me. The report is, Pastor, these are people in church. Pastor saying ngizakuwe lidiniwe ngoku. You know why? Ngithi why lo mfolo ufika after 2 a.m. in the morning. You know, priorities again. So here's the thing I'm going to say. Let's be intentional about our marriages. Let's build our marriages. Let's work on them. Let us stop really doing. Once we're child, both men and women, once we're child, we are no more a child. Let's stop doing childish things. Simadala ngoku. Yabona ngoku ohlobo ngithetha ngalo ngithetha njengomuntu omdala ngoku. Simadala ngoku. Let's stop doing childish things. You have children, you have a wife, you have a husband. You are no more a child. Let us grow up. Let's grow up. Let us work on our marriages. Should there be problems like in any other marriage, let's raise our hands. Let's get help.
Wow. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I do want us to close at this point. I see here Usincengani Mabena uthi true marriage is about sacrifice. Without that, no marriage would stand. Naku uthotyelwa uthi wow, Pastor Zondi, don't be divided. Contentment. Naku uphathiswa Siyoyo Nqini Mekuto. Good to see you, Siyoyo. Ndiyabona uba uve uba ucwerha ulapha wathi mawujoyine na uthandokazi Lilitha Sikhundla. Good to see you, sisi. Nanko omnye ucwerha Phumzile Nteyi watching. Good to see you, Gxarha. Gentlemen, I think we've really dealt with this matter in a way that really touches so many of us. And Yanga is right. We're going to have to come back to look at it from a side of ladies, because we're thinking the way that we're thinking because we are men. But I thought it was important so that we can have this first session and then maybe another one at some point. I don't know if you've got 1 second just to wrap up, maybe last messages you can share with people about how they can really put nutrients in their families. Just 1 or 2 points, and then we wrap up and close the day.
I think for me is it's not a cliche. It's not being spiritual to say that I know what has helped me in my marriage is how I have grown in Christ. So in other words, the love I see from Christ is the love I try and apply between me and my wife. The grace I receive is the grace I want to reciprocate from my wife. At times I'm confused, and sometimes I'm disappointed with myself in our marriage. And I just ask for wisdom from God of how to deal with this particular issue. And so I recommend Christ in marriage.
Thank you. Pastor Bowen?
My parting shot would be that as couples, let us spend time, serious time, in unpacking our marriages and crafting visions for our marriages, and having a trajectory that we are building towards. Because you can never become that which you are not preoccupied with. And it is very important. We talk about everything, but we do not talk about bread and butter issues in our marriages. We don't even talk about sex. How I was in my 20s, it is impossible that at my age now I will be the same. But we've never had that discussion. You know, No. I'm old now. There's academics now. There's work. There's the church. There's many things, and in fact, some other things are no longer a priority to me. You know, so one of the biggest problems that lead to starvation is when we are caught up by the nitty-gritties that are not giving life to our marriages, and that is not having conversations that are actually contributing to where we want to be and who we want to become and what improvements we want to bring to our marriages. And if I've picked this up on so many couples I spoke to, when I asked them one simple question, how is your sex life like? No, Mfundisi, it's happening, you know, it's happening, you know, and it is because we have not gotten into the spirit of dealing with things and discussing them in a non-judgmental, non-confrontational way where we are taking stock. And it is people who take stock who are able to analyze, unpack, re-strategize, and build going forward. And that requires both the husband and the wife to spend serious time looking internally, judging themselves critically for them to craft a marriage that will be life-giving and which will model Christ in all its aspects.
Wow, sure. Dr. Zondi, as we close.
Thank you so much. Let me be quick. Number one, I agree with you, Mfundisi Mbowe. Sit down as a couple, craft your vision. Because if you have no purpose, you'll fall for anything. Make sure what is the purpose for your marriage. And it's important that to understand, especially as Christians, to understand that first and foremost, our marriages exist to glorify God. It's important that we understand that we don't forget that. Number two, understand that marriage has seasons. Understand the seasons. Marriage has seasons. Don't come out of your marriage because of a particular season you're going through. Number three is very important. Make sure that you build a prayer lifestyle as a couple. As a couple, have a prayer lifestyle. Have time to pray together, not when there are problems. Make it your lifestyle. Make it your lifestyle. The next one, which I want to say, learn to listen to each other. Listen to each other. You know, like you all have shared. I'm also guilty of that. I'm also guilty of that. Of being accused of not listening to the whole world and not to me. You know, it's true. Let's learn to listen. Both men and women, let's learn to listen. Number three, the next one, don't overlook mistakes. When mistakes have been committed, you know, sometimes mistakes that have been overlooked 10 years ago, they grow and become big. You see? You know, small mistakes that have been overlooked 10 years ago, we deal with them, they're big now. You know, don't overlook small mistakes. Deal with them and then pass from them. You know, it's very important that we don't overlook them. And then here's the next one, last one, value each other. Value to each other. You know, value your wife, value your husband. I think one of the most painful things is to be married to somebody who undermines you, does not value you. Value your husband, value your wife, value each other. Learn to value each other, you know. Because some of the things we do is really we're not valuing each other. For instance, you ask the question of time, starving time. You're not valuing your wife or you're not valuing your husband if you can't give him or her time. You know, those you value, you give time to. The thing you value, give time to. You know, if you value God, you go to the house of the Lord. You go to worship the Lord. But if you don't value Him, you don't go. You don't find a need to go there. Anything you value, you create time for. And the main reason why people are not they're starving in time, you starve your husband, your wife in time, is because you don't value him or you don't value her. But once you value her, time becomes automatic. You see, I'm home now. I'm excited, with my wife because I value them. I value my children. But if I don't value them, I'll be everywhere else. Learn to value them. And let me, the very last one, let's stop selfishness. Some of the things is we live for ourselves. Once you are married, don't live for yourself. Some of us are living for ourselves. Once you are married, you change from I to we.
To we.
See, some of us are really so selfish, and there's a reason why even in marriage you want to do what makes you happy. That's selfishness, And here's the thing: let's move away from being selfish and move from I to we. God bless you. There's hope, my brothers, my sisters. There's hope. If you're married, there, don't come out. I want to say this with my brother, if you can allow me. Don't come out of that marriage yet. There's a reason why God made you listen to this talk today. Don't come out of it. Just reach out. There is Pastor Melande. There is Mfetu Kulati. There is Pastor Bue. Raise your hand. You will get help. Even if you are around the country, we know people all over the country who can help you. Raise your hand. You will get help. Don't come out of a marriage. We can change this thing. God is with you. Thank you so much.
Wow. Gentlemen, I don't know how to thank you for the time that you spent, tired as you are, getting ready to do many other things, but you spend time to us. Personally, I've been challenged. I've been encouraged. I've learned a lot, to make certain changes in my own marital life. And I want to thank you so much, Bue, Melane, and Nawe Zondi, so much for spending all this time to empower the nation. People's marriages are going down. In fact, the topic that I also want to talk about is how do we build a black family in South Africa? And I think this is one way in which we can do that. And so thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I don't take it lightly. We're going to do the next session with the ladies, but really thank you so much and God bless you. Thank you. And I also want to thank our viewers who have joined and participated by listening and by writing. And if I missed you, please forgive me. And Mbebe, I see you. Faith Njongo, Zanele Ngomani, my colleague, Loiso Sizo Mosi, Sivu Mklomi, Andrew Kota, Mike Mtuduzi Dube, and so many others that I hear. Guys, we have a right, we have a responsibility to build that which we are in, that marriage that we are in. We have a responsibility to invest in it. So if you want to listen to this program again, you can come back on this site where you are joining us on Facebook or on YouTube. You can listen to it. It's going to be recorded there. And we're going to come back again to discuss this topic and second installment of it. Thank you so much. Please enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. God bless. All right. Here, just to say one more time that anytime you feel like there's a topic that you want us to discuss, we focus on families, we focus on finances, we focus on leadership, we focus on personal development and growth. We focus on issues that are out there to build us to be better people in the future. We focus on fatherhood, parenting. We focus on building relationships. So, guys, anytime you feel like you can add value, we focus on promoting people's businesses and ministries and things of that nature. We are here to build the nation so that people can come here in this moment of insight and growth and indeed be inspired to grow and to go forward in life. We don't want to come and listen to programs that are going to demoralize us, that are going to be negative. We want people to come here and grow in their marriage, in their businesses, in their personal lives. And so we are spending time with us this afternoon and other afternoons. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and be a person that receives notifications for all of this. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy but Arthur, but Andrew, uthi enkosi gatyeni nabathandiswa. God bless you. Thandokazi Lilita Skundla uthi wow, Thotyelwa Libumbe uthi thank you for this session. I've learned a lot. It's such a session that changes our lives for the better. May the Lord bless your team and increase their wisdom. And last, Mudondo says, Siyabulela mhlekazi, bulela mna. Thank you so much, everyone who has taken time. All the best. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Join us again next time. All the best.